The day started like any other. The sun shone brightly through the curtains as little Emily, a 7-year-old girl with a wild imagination, raced down the stairs of her family's old, creaky house. It was her birthday, and she couldn't wait to see what presents awaited her. Among the toys, books, and brightly wrapped gifts, one package stood out. It was an old wooden box, slightly worn, and adorned with strange carvings that Emily didn't recognize. It was a gift from her grandmother, who had recently passed away. Emily's mother, Sarah, had found the box while sorting through her mother's belongings. It looked like a handmade doll inside, a little creepy, but also intriguing. Sarah hesitated, but eventually decided to let Emily have it, thinking it was just another toy. Emily's eyes lit up as she opened the box, revealing an old handmade doll. The doll was about a foot tall, with curly dark hair made of yarn, glassy green eyes, and a dress that looked like it belonged in a different century. It had a sweet but slightly eerie smile stitched on its face. "This is for you, Emily," Sarah said with a smile, hiding her unease. Emily loved it instantly, naming the doll Lily. That night, Emily took Lily to bed with her, clutching the doll tightly as she drifted off to sleep. In the darkness of her room, the doll's eyes seemed to glint in the moonlight, but Emily didn't notice. She was too young to sense anything was wrong, too innocent to understand the danger that had just entered her life. The first few days with Lily were normal. Emily carried the doll everywhere, talking to it as if it were a real friend. But soon, strange things began to happen. One morning, Emily's parents found Lily sitting at the kitchen table, even though they were sure Emily had left her in her room the night before. "Emily, did you bring Lily down here?" her father John asked over breakfast. Emily shook her head. "No, Daddy. Lily stays in my room when I sleep." Sarah and John exchanged worried glances but brushed it off as Emily's imagination, or perhaps a prank by one of them they didn't remember. But the incidents continued. Lily would appear in different parts of the house, on the living room sofa, on the stairs, even once in the basement. Each time, Emily insisted she hadn't moved the doll. Sarah started feeling uneasy, sensing that something was off, but John dismissed it as childish behavior. Then, one night, Emily woke up to the sound of whispers. At first, she thought it was her parents talking in the hallway, but the whispers were soft, almost like a song. She looked around her room and noticed that Lily was no longer in her bed. Instead, the doll was sitting on the windowsill, staring out into the night. The whispers stopped as soon as Emily saw Lily. "Lily?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "What are you doing over there?" The doll, of course, didn't respond, but as Emily got out of bed and approached Lily, she felt a strange chill in the room. She picked up the doll and returned it to her bed, hugging it tightly to feel safe. The next morning, when she told her parents about the whispers, they dismissed it as a bad dream. But the whispers grew louder each night, and soon Emily began talking to Lily more and more. Her parents noticed a change in her behavior. She became withdrawn, spending hours alone in her room with the doll. She refused to play with other toys or talk to her friends. The cheerful, imaginative little girl was slowly turning into someone they didn't recognize. One evening, Sarah decided to inspect the doll more closely. Something about it just didn't sit right with her. She examined Lily's face, her eyes, her clothes, and noticed that the stitching on the back of the doll's dress was slightly loose. Curiosity got the better of her, and she carefully opened the seam. Inside, she found something that made her blood run cold. A piece of parchment with strange faded writing and a lock of hair that didn't belong to Emily. Shaken, Sarah showed the doll and the findings to John, who finally agreed that something was wrong. The writing on the parchment was in a language neither of them could understand, but it looked old and ominous. They decided to do some research, hoping to find out more about the doll's origins. Sarah spent hours digging through old family records and visiting local historians. Eventually, she discovered that the doll had once belonged to a distant relative, a little girl who had died under mysterious circumstances nearly a century ago. The doll was said to be cursed, with a spirit trapped inside it, a spirit that could influence and possess those who owned it. Terrified, Sarah and John knew they had to act fast to protect their daughter. They contacted a local priest who had experience in dealing with the supernatural. The priest came to their home, blessing the house and performing a ritual to cleanse the doll of any evil presence. During the ritual, the doll seemed to resist, its glassy eyes gleaming with a malevolent light. Emily, who had been watching from the doorway, suddenly screamed and tried to run to Lily, but Sarah held her back. The priest's voice grew louder as he chanted, and the room felt colder, darker, as if a heavy, oppressive force was fighting to stay. Finally, with a final prayer, the priest sprinkled holy water on the doll. There was a sharp, ear-piercing noise that echoed through the house, and then silence. The oppressive feeling lifted, and the doll's eyes seemed to dull, its malevolent presence gone. The priest advised Sarah and John to burn the doll, ensuring that whatever spirit had been inside would be destroyed forever. They followed his advice, watching as the flames consumed the doll, turning it to ash. The house felt lighter afterward, as if a dark cloud had been lifted. Emily slowly returned to her old self, though she had no memory of the events. Sarah and John never spoke of the doll again, and life returned to normal. But sometimes, late at night, Sarah would wake up with a start, haunted by the memory of the doll's whispering voice, wondering if they had truly destroyed it, or if it was still out there, waiting to be found by another unsuspecting child.